All adventures have a beginning, and for my family and I, our trip to Rottnest Island began with a train station from Perth, where we had to take the Fremantle line all the way to the end, where we could catch our ferry, the Rottnest Express. And this being 2022, we were constantly reminded that the pandemic was ongoing and that indeed travelling was a luxury. The train ride itself took slightly less than 40 minutes, and remember it's Fremantle and not the North Fremantle station that you want to alight at. I didn't manage to capture any footage of us boarding the ferry, but you can't really miss it by the water. And if you are not already excited, you will be once they start telling you about the Quokkas. The name Rottnest is actually Dutch for rat's nest, because that's what the explorers thought the Quokkas were when they first encountered them. And yet, judging by the signs that are all over the island, it's clear that the name that the island was given has not affected the appeal of these gentle and inquisitive marsupials. It doesn't take you too long to spot your first one, because there's a bunch of them just hanging and chilling out by the eateries. Or in this case, sleeping outside the toilet. In the end, we decided that we didn't want to risk it and cycle, not knowing how hilly the terrain was. So we went with the Island Explorer bus, which is a hop-on and hop-off bus. But bear in mind that it's not free and you have to pay for it. For the first stop, we decided to go to West End, which is at stop 11, since we weren't swimming or snorkeling. While there were no quokkas by the coast, what it did have was the raw beauty of the Indian Ocean. Following that, we decided to go to Little Armstrong Bay, which is stop 17, where we could walk back to the jetty. Upon alighting, we had a furry friend that wanted to join us for our tea break as we consumed food that we had bought earlier from the Fremantle market. You can judge from the proximity that quokkas really have no fear whatsoever of human beings. They are pretty quiet as well, and while we were there, we didn't notice any of the quokkas making any form of vocalizations. The same cannot be said for the crows, which are also plentiful over there, and they will make their presence known. After tea break, we started our trek, and I wanted to walk because I wanted to see the lakes that were there on the island. There were no quokkas that we saw along the way, unfortunately. But the very moment you head back and you reach civilization, you see the quokkas all over the place again. And the interaction between one of them and this little girl shows just how fearless they can get. While waiting for the ferry, you can actually visit the mini mart where you can get refreshments as well as souvenirs like this keychain. I noticed more than a passing resemblance between the chocolate as well as scat that you actually find along the way. After spending more than half a day here, I would recommend that you pay it a visit, especially if you love wildlife and you love sightseeing. My only regret is that I did not come here earlier on in the day because we booked the tickets pretty last minute and we had to resign ourselves to coming around noon and having to go back early in the evening. But if you have a chance, try and get the early ticket and spend time trying to perfect your selfie with the quokkas. We didn't get to eat any of the food at the cafes that are available on the island either, because we decided to just get takeaway from the Fremantle market. But I've heard good things about them from the reviews that I've watched. In conclusion, if you happen to be in Perth and you have a day to spare, I would highly recommend paying Rottnest Island a visit.